On March 28, 2025, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth met with Philippine Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro in Manila to strengthen the U.S.-Philippines alliance and address regional security challenges, particularly in response to Communist China's aggression in the Indo-Pacific. During a joint press conference at Camp Aguinaldo, the two leaders outlined a four-part plan to re-establish deterrence. This included deploying advanced U.S. military capabilities, such as the NMESSI anti-ship missile system and unmanned surface vehicles, to the Philippines, enhancing interoperability through bolstered bilateral training, prioritizing defense industrial cooperation, and launching a bilateral cyber campaign. Hegseth emphasized the ironclad U.S. commitment to the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty, aiming to counter threats in the South China Sea and beyond, while Teodoro highlighted the shared goal of upholding regional peace and international law.
We will now have statements from our principals, to be given first by Secretary Pete Hegseth, to be followed by Secretary Gilberto Teodoro Jr. Secretary Hegseth, sir.
Thank you very much. Well, good afternoon. Mr. Secretary, thank you for an incredibly productive afternoon. We're really glad to be here in Manila with Secretary Teodoro on my first trip as the Secretary of Defense in the Indo-Pacific. You know this, the audience knows this, the United States has been fighting shoulder to shoulder with the Philippines since World War II. Our partnership not only continues today, but we are doubling down on that partnership. And our ironclad alliance has never been stronger. This morning, I also had a chance to meet with President Marcos. And Secretary Teodoro and I just had as I described, very productive discussion about how to not just continue, but accelerate the progress in the U.S.-Philippines alliance. We agreed on the next steps to reestablish, and that's key, reestablish deterrence in the Indo-Pacific region. These efforts build on an ongoing $500 million commitment in foreign military financing and other security assistance to support the Philippines' military modernization. First, we agreed that the United States will deploy additional advanced capabilities to the Philippines. This includes using the Nemesis anti-ship missile system and highly capable unmanned surface vehicles in Exercise Balikatan this April. These systems will enable U.S. forces and the armed forces of the Philippines to train together on using advanced capabilities to defend the Philippines' sovereignty. Second, to enhance interoperability for high-end operations, we agreed to conduct bilateral Special Operation Forces training in the Batanes Islands. Did I get that right? Batanes, Islands. Special Forces training together. Third, Secretary Teodoro and I agreed to prioritize bilateral defense industrial cooperation, which is critical. So today we published a joint statement outlining our priority areas for cooperation. This includes co-producing unmanned systems and increasing combined logistics support. I was just in Guam before I came here. We can talk about big systems and advanced technologies, but if you don't have logistics support, I see the folks who run militaries and run formations, you need logistics support to actually operate and advance forward. These initiatives will help us share burdens and promote a more comprehensive partnership. We intend for these efforts to boost both of our economies and strengthen supply chain resilience. And finally, we agreed to launch a bilateral cyber campaign. We're going to work together to reduce cyber vulnerabilities across our alliance, and increasing cybersecurity will allow even more advanced operational cooperation. The challenges we face require that kind of team effort. But I'll tell you this, those aspects are just the beginning. We had our meeting this morning, we had a meeting with the President, we had a meeting in here, we had private meetings as well. I can assure you, and I can assure all those watching, this is just the beginning of what will continue to be an incredibly fruitful alliance. So together we'll encourage our other partners and allies in the region to step up their efforts and their cooperation to increase defense capabilities and strengthen deterrence. We have already set a robust agenda for the next few years. Our staff and both of us are going to remain actively engaged. It reflects the strength, as I said, of our ironclad alliance, particularly in the face of Communist China's aggression in the region. And our partnership demonstrates our commitment to peace and security in the Indo-Pacific. As our president, who sends his greeting, President Donald Trump talks about often and demonstrates, we will achieve peace through strength. We do not seek war, we seek peace. But those who long for peace must prepare for war. And we stand united shoulder to shoulder. So, Gibo, if I may, you can call me Pete anytime you want. Thank you for hosting us today and for making great progress alongside us. I look forward to working closely with you to solidify that peace through strength. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Secretary Hegseth, sir. We now invite Secretary Teodoro to give his statement.
We thank the Honorable Secretary Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense of the United States, for his momentous visit to the Philippines. It's an honor for the Philippines to host Secretary Hegseth's first visit to Asia during his first trip to the Indo-Pacific. This signals how important our bilateral alliance with our only treaty partner, the United States, is, and we are gratified by the importance placed on the stability and enhancement of this relationship as a linchpin of securing peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific. We are grateful for the enduring support of the United States, including the State Department's issuance of a waiver, in part, in no small way, through the efforts of Secretary Hegseth and the rest of the team, for a waiver of foreign military financing for the Philippines. We believe these engagements are crucial and need to be enhanced in order for there, as Secretary Hegseth put it, to be a re-establishment of effective deterrence against unwanted and malign influences that affect the stability not only of the Indo-Pacific, but of the whole world. And as Secretary Hegseth said, we are going to work very closely, not only with our treaty ally, but with other like-minded partners in re-establishing deterrence. This will mean increased interoperational activities, joint exercises, realistic training in a myriad of scenarios to mirror what may be possible in the future, God forbid. However, we must be prepared to answer and to meet and even to deter any possibility in the future for our mutual defense and the defense of freedom and international law. During our discussions, we discussed the enhancement of the quality of Philippine investments in strategic basing, in capability upgrades, in the skill sets of our fighting men, women, and our civilian personnel to complement the comprehensive archipelagic defense concept, which has in its underpinnings not only the Philippine Constitution, but international law. The deployment of the Nemesis and other unmanned surface vehicles will hasten the introduction of these technologies into the vista of the Philippine Armed Forces and will train our troops to train for higher technological capabilities that we need for effective deterrence in the future. The Philippines is prepared and is in fact taking a more active role in rallying our other allies and like-minded nations to resist any attempt to change international law by acquiescence or a fait accompli in the South China Sea. The number of status of visiting forces agreements that we are entering into is, for the rules-based international order, is proof of this. Because of the increased interoperational activities, we expect increased rotational presence of like-minded and allied troops in the Philippines. With our strategic basing initiative, we will also expect a heightened tempo of the Philippine Armed Force for external and territorial defense to put in our share of deterrence. And we will also expect a hastening of our capability upgrades and our logistical support facilities to support deterrence. And deterrence comes also with synergy with humanitarian assistance and disaster response, because natural calamities hit us the hardest at this time, particularly in the Philippines, which is one of the most vulnerable countries in the world. We will enhance our current EDCA locations, and we will make improvements. Mind you, these are Philippine bases of which we have to invest in. We will enhance them for logistical support. We have talked about establishing a sustainable, effective, and business case-focused defense industrial base, which suits our national interests and advances our economic, defense, and other cooperative resilience activities, which are of benefit not only to each one's economy, but on partnerships and synergies, so that there can be a multiplier effect on the enhancements to different sectors of our societies, of both our peoples. As we know, the relationship between the Philippines and the United States is not unipolar. It's multipolar. And the most important thing are people-to-people exchanges, but also commerce, defense, education, language, and the NBA. This initiative will support the Self-Reliance Defense Program of the Philippines and other initiatives of the United States government.